and welcome to Stories and More, a place where you'll hear short stories, flash fiction, things you might call poetry, commentary, essays, and blather about just anything that I choose to talk about. I hope you find it somewhat entertaining. We'll see. My first piece is titled Romance and the Lonely Bus Driver. This is told in the bus driver's voice. Yep, there she is. If it's Monday, it's Little Red Riding Hood's day. On her way to work somewhere. It was 3 weeks ago today. She nodded at me, swiped her monthly pass, and glanced up. Bright blue eyes, red hair, a teeny tiny mole just west of her mouth. She smiles without showing her teeth. Beautiful woman. But what's a bus driver to a woman like that? This time I notice she's not wearing a ring, but hold on there. There's a man with her today, keeping his hands to himself, but hovering. Maybe they haven't gone all that far, I'm guessing. There's still a chance for me. Even though he wears a very nice suit and carries a rich man's leather briefcase. Lawyer, probably. Status of some kind. Could take her on fancy vacations. Some thug gets on right behind him. This doesn't feel good. He starts in right away, shouting for everyone to sit down and shut up. Damn, he's pulling out a sawed-off and is waving it around. He's not kidding. He's telling me to drive south on State Street. You sure you want to do this? I ask him. I'm not afraid of his kind. He puts the barrel to my temple. This answer your question, you dumbass? Drive. He tells me to pull off at 127th and directs me to an empty lot. No one around. Tells me to stop. Turn the engine off. Keep my hands on the wheel. Little Red is crying, and the man with her has his arms around her. Now he has me get up and collect cash and credit cards from everyone. Expensive-looking rings and watches, too. I get to Little Red, and he calls me off. I'll get this one, Shotgun says. He strokes her necklace. It's a dainty gold chain with a gem hanging on it. Garnet, is it? He asked her. My mother's, she says. He yanks it off. She as pretty as you? He asks. She can't answer. Her man says, hey, and nothing else. The thug pulls her up and away from her man. The guy in the nice suit with the leather briefcase is frozen in place. Shotgun looks down at Suit. She all yours, pretty boy? Well, we've been dating, yeah, Suit says. Not a lot of confidence in his words. Like he could be talked out of it. Take her if you really like her. Shotgun runs his hand down her waist and onto her backside. He clutches a handful and grins at Suit. Suit says, hey. Nothing else. Shotgun's looking away from me, so I yank the shotgun away from him and bring it down on his head. He drops to the floor. Little Red falls into my arms for a moment. Then I let her slide into her seat where Suit puts his arms around her again. Later, They get off at the same stop near the Wrigley Building. I don't see her for weeks. Then one Monday, there she is, waiting for me. No man at her side. She moves up the steps of the bus, swipes her card, then reaches for my hand. Her pretty blue eyes meet mine, and she holds the gaze. She releases my hand. There's a note in my palm. I open it. It's her phone number. It's a new route for me today, and I'm getting familiar with my regulars. There's one woman that gets my attention. It's her wedding ring. One huge diamond in the center, crusted diamonds all around it. I think it's an invitation to get kidnapped. She's got her husband with her, and he keeps his hand around her small waist. He's not letting this one get away. They get off at Adams. She looks over her shoulder back at me and gives me a faint smile. I smile back. Suddenly, a man streaks by and grabs her purse, but she hangs on. The thief drags her to the ground. Her man reaches down for her, but the thief stops, still holding onto her purse. He points a threatening finger at the man and shouts, "Don't!" Her man backs off, while the thief wrenches the purse from her. She is crying and wailing. I hop off the bus and run the thief down. I come back with her purse and hand it to her. She hugs me and thanks me. I get a look at her eyes. They're soft brown, inviting under any circumstances. She asks my name. Harold, I say. It's a week later, and she's waiting at the stop. She steps up into the bus. Her husband is not with her, and the ring is gone. At the top of the steps, she pauses. "Harold," she says, and bends over to kiss me. It's Friday and it's raining. A pretty woman steps onto the bus and slips. I get out of my seat and help her up. "You're so kind," she tells me and grasps my hand. She's got beautiful eyes. Why, it's Scarlett Johansson. Well, so that's Romance and the Lonely Bus Driver. My version of it, what it's like to be lonely and driving a bus all day, a little bit bored, feeling a little bit ignored. So you see, this story is all in the man's head. Most everybody I read it to gets that, but some don't. I hope you did. When I distribute it in print, there's a few people who don't get it, even though I printed the whole text in italics. Well, whatever. I don't know why I write anything, or why anybody writes. Well, let me take that back. I think I do know, but I did look it up to see what other people say about why they write. This is from George Orwell. This is what he's got to say. All writers are vain, selfish, and lazy. And at the very bottom of their motives there lies a mystery. Writing a book is a horrible, exhausting struggle, like a long bout of some painful illness. One would never undertake such a thing if one were not driven on by some demon whom one can neither resist nor understand. Well, I think it's different for everybody, but I think I write, and I think people who actually perform or try anything are driven by one singular thing at base, that ultimate demon, and it's called vanity. You know, you want to be heard. You want somebody to walk up to you and say, "That was good." I like that, although I'm fairly inured to it. I write for my own satisfaction, mainly. Well, that's what I tell myself anyway. That's what I'm telling you. Vanity leads to so much trouble. I think when we men are born, right after we're circumcised, they ought to remove the vanity too. We'd all do better with that. Cause a lot less heartache and pain later on, frustration, depression. So I write. Orwell goes on to talk about some of the more common reasons people give in defense of their writing. It goes like this. Because it takes me out of my own head, away from my troubles. You can do that for a drink. Because it gives me a shot, however remote, of creating something sublime and transcendent. That's reaching a little far, in my case. Because I burn with rage at the world and it seems like a better outlet than gratuitous violence. Well, I'm not violent, so that's not me either. Because putting something into words forces me to articulate my thoughts and shape them into a narrative, and that gives meaning to my life. I'm not all that serious about it. I'm writing because it entertains me, and I hope that it entertains you too. And you're free to comment underneath the video, as is always the case in YouTube. Ridicule me if you want, that's all right. Or you can say something complimentary, or you can just ignore it. But this is the first of my series for Stories and More. More later. Goodbye.